From that early canaries arose an opinion that some people were suitable for extension, some people were suitable for flexion. I had no theoretical research facilities in being in practice in Whakatane, but I had found that amongst a lot of my farm workers, very fit people, athletic people, people who shouldn't be subjected to problems, were having a lot of lumbar pain, a lot of spinal pain. In fact, a large majority of my work was spinal work from a large farming community. It was difficult to work out why this was, because these are the people that shouldn't be. They were fit and healthy people. Quite by accident, I noticed that many of them had very tight hamstrings. And here we go, a number of people throughout New Zealand would say, here goes Searle on his favourite topic, hamstring tightness. And I had found a simple test to test whether people had tight hamstrings or not. I would sit them with their feet against an upright, ask them to sit up and perhaps lean forward a little bit. Many of the people couldn't do this. They leaned backwards, or they lifted one knee up to release the hamstring, and then they could lean forward. From this I could see that they'd lost their lordosis because the hamstrings were tight, pulling the pelvis down. They had flattened spines, and they were constantly over-flexing their spine when they went down to pick up a bale of hay. So we instituted a system whereby a lot of these fellows would do some simple hamstring stretches, and many times, especially if one hamstring was unilaterally tighter than another, they didn't have the same amount of back problems. In those days, the practice that I had was a very country practice. Dad would leave Mum to have a treatment, and the kids, because they'd bring them in from the farm, Dad would go down to the pub and have a beer while Mum had a treatment. Dad would be left with the kids in the treatment room while Mum went shopping. And I used to say to the kids, you sit up there with your feet against the wall and show Dad how to do it. Well, to my horror, many children couldn't do it. And I couldn't quite work that out. I would have thought children were resilient, and no children, or whatever age they were, shouldn't have any tightness. They should be pliable. And out of interest, I was treating the phys ed teacher at our local high school, a fellow by the name of Barry Gordon, and said, Barry, this is a simple test for hamstrings. You phys ed boys, have you noticed muscular tightnesses in people? He said, no, but we could do a research. So he did that at the Whakatane High School, and there were, I think, about 600 or 700 children. And he just sat them in the gym and asked them to sit with their feet up against the wall, and my God, 30% of boys and about 20% of girls failed the test. They had pathologically shortened hamstrings in their adolescence. And I thought, oh, well, that's okay. It's a growth spurt in the femur that's done that. The femur's growing longer than the hamstrings can accommodate. But it just so happened that I was very friendly with some people at Taniatua who were the primary school headmaster and the infant mistress. And so I thought, oh, well, we'll check that growth spurt business by getting young ones to do it. And my God, some of the young kids at the primary school didn't pass. So we found there was some sort of hereditary or congenital system whereby people couldn't tilt their pelvises forward enough to allow the spine to go forward naturally. and the spine would have to overreach itself because the pelvis wouldn't tilt forward. So this was my production at the Canary Islands, was hamstring tightness in children right up through in age groups. And after my lecture, the Germans rushed over to me and said, "Oh, this is all old hat. This has all been done before." And I said, "Oh, hasn't? Tell me about it. I don't know anything about it." And they said, "Oh, this is Professor Jander's work from Czechoslovakia. He has done all this. There are postural and phasic muscles." And he identifies some muscles which are naturally tight and some muscles that aren't. And so it's no good trying to develop and strengthen an abdominal muscle if the extensor muscles on the back are tight, because you won't get the reciprocal situation. You can work the abdominal muscles until you're blue in the face, but it won't make any difference to abdominal muscles unless you stretch the extensors of the back. This was Professor Jander's work. And I determined, well, I must learn more about this. The German said this is all in Czechoslovakia and we've got it in German. But when I tried to get some of it translated, I couldn't in New Zealand.